So if you've ever watched on the rare chance something where I'm playing you know, an instrument, usually you know, you'll know right away that I am not a professional because it's very musicianally botched. It's got places where, you know, I'm either out of rhythm or stumbled on a note or something. And you might ask yourself, you know, why post something if it's so musicianally inaccurate? And it's because you're not going for perfection. Anytime you're doing any kind of pagan or indigenous song, you're never going for perfection. You're going for the energy, you're going for the emotion and the heart and the intent in it. You're more so, you know, drawn to the actual magic in what you're playing than whether or not it is perfect. Now, ideally, yes, we'd want to, you know, have learned as accurately as possible, to play it as accurately as we can. But you don't have to wait until you get that experienced to start doing some of this song magic. You don't have to wait that long, because song magic is less about being perfect and more about the intent and the energy that creates that magic. And a lot of what creates that energy is the flute itself, the instrument itself. I say flute because we're on flutes right now, but really any instrument that you're playing, you know, a lot of it, but especially in flutes, because they do so much of the work for you, you know, that really all you have to do is create a song. And if you look, where is it? If you look right there, that little tiny hole right there, that's actually, you know, whether your finger is on or off of it is what makes it either a major key or a minor key, which I think is just 100% ingenious. I mean, whoever thought of that, it makes the easiest shift between major and minor. All you have to do is either, you know, take your finger off that or keep it on, and it changes the entire thing. And you just play straight up and down, you know, major and minor on the same flute. I mean, that's you know, something I wish everyone would do, but it's rare to find that. Usually if you want to force a flute that's tuned in a major key to play in minor, it's much more complicated than just covering up a little tiny, you know, hole like that. Then this one's got one of the holes on the back, and that's actually for, instead of doing a balancing act where if you have to play the very top note and you have to do this strange balancing act, it allows you to keep your finger on the top note, and then all you have to do is release your thumb so that you can much more easily balance it. You know, you've got your pinky as an anchor, and then you've got, you know, and that's a lot easier than having to, you know, just it's a lot more wobbly that way than if you can just, you know. So Gemshorns in general have a pretty similar sound. You know, they're known for having a very specific kind of sound. I will say that it depends on the horn though. This is domestic cattle, and usually nowadays that's what you're going to find. Gemshorns, domestic cattle horns, but long time ago, you know, they were made out of goat horns and ram horns and other things as well. So the horn will definitely make a difference. And it's got, you know, just a regular, if you look at that mouthpiece, one of the kind of the more ancient mouthpieces to it, which actually I prefer that. But this one in particular, it either plays F or F sharp, and we're gonna do the F sharp version probably on this one, because I honestly like to stick with those minor keys. the minor keys, to me, just sound better for the energy that I want. The thing about it is that you've got to be really wary where that is, because if it's accidentally on there, you know, then all of a sudden you're playing half minor and half major, and it doesn't sound right. So what I'll do, I try my best to put my finger underneath instead of just resting it, so it doesn't accidentally hit it. So with the pinky on is the major. Let's do the scale to kind of just show you the difference in it. So that is the major, and then we're gonna take the pinky off and put it under, and now we're gonna do the, that didn't sound right. We're gonna do the minor scale. So it's just a little more eerie and mischievous, I think, when you take. Some people like the you know, the more major sound. This is with the major key. This is with the minor. I just like the minor better. I don't know why. I mean, it's very slight of a difference in this particular flute anyway. It's very slight of a difference, but I don't know. I feel like it adds the energy when you just don't use it. When you just don't. But I see why, because, you know, the people who made these are musicians. That they're not, you know, making it for their own purposes necessarily. They're making it thinking, okay, professional musicians would want an easy way to change, would prefer just a very easy way to very quickly change keys like that, to change from major to minor. And I understand why in a musician's eyes it is easier to make one flute that can do two different things than to have two different flutes. See what I'm saying? Now you can skip all around and do all this crazy stuff on other flutes and still force the flute to play in a minor key. But what I like about this is that there's no fancy fingering. You just, if you want it in minor, all you gotta do is that, and then it's just automatically now in minor. So this will play other keys. Like I said, if you skip around, I'm sure it can play other keys. You know, all flutes really, if you know what you're doing, but I don't know what I'm doing. So, you know, I just stick with whatever key it's in, whatever it just naturally allows me to play without me having to do anything fancy with it. So I was just messing around. I really wasn't doing anything specific. And I was able to just, by messing around, you know, do that. And that's why, you know, anything really like this is such an easy instrument to start learning on. Some things are not that easy, but really, you know, it's got a harmony there. Even if you don't know what you're doing, it's got a nice harmony there. And the way that a Gemshorn carries, that kind of echoing sound, that kind of mischievous echoing sound, is quite unique to the Gemshorn and only the Gemshorn. What I will say is that, you know, you're talking usually about either clay or an actual horn. If it's plastic, we pagans don't really like plastic, because that's kind of a man-made thing. So really what you want to do, some people will make these out of wood in the shape of a horn, but usually it's clay or horn that you're going to want to stick with, because anything made out of PVC, plastic, yes, technically you can make magic out of anything, but we pagans typically like to make something, song magic, out of something that's from the earth, to honor the earth, and that energy is always a lot better, you know. So if you don't want to have an actual horn, now this was domestic humane cattle, humane raised domestic cattle, but if that bothers you, go with the clay. There's nothing wrong with the clay. A lot of those out there, and I think the same people that make these actually have a clay option. It's in the shape of a horn. It's a little smaller, but they've got a soprano clay option, which, you know, I almost bought one of them because I wanted to see what it was like, but I just haven't gotten around. I may never, just because they're kind of pricey. But it has to feel right. It has to feel right for you also, and it has to be something that it kind of just harmonizes with you. There was one time where I got a horn that was just didn't harmonize right, you know, just wasn't the right energy. So when you're doing something like that, just as with anything in paganism, it has to choose you. You can't choose it. And sometimes when you're getting it from a random lot and you don't know which one you're getting, you don't have any control over which one you get, you know. So preferably you're going to want something where you know that whatever's coming is going to be the one that works and harmonizes with you. Otherwise it's just going to be like a chance where you don't know which one they're sending, and you just hope that it, you know, that it chooses to accept you. So that's the thing in paganism that we talk about sometimes. We're really with anything, that you need that sacred permission to work with something like this, whether it's wood or clay or whatever, or horn or bone. You always need that sacred permission, or the flute literally will start rebelling. It will start squeaking. It'll start not working at all. It will rebel against you if its energy and your energy clashes. So just keep that in mind. I'll say it over and over again, but I feel like, you know, no one's going to watch all these videos, so that's why I keep saying it in every video, because it is quite important. You know, you can't make, you know, song magic properly if you don't have that harmony there.